Hi, this is Doug with 8-Twit Engineering, and this episode we're going to be chopping down a tree with an axe. So, first step here is to sharpen that axe, and I'm reminded of a quote from Abraham Lincoln, which is, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." And that quote never really made sense to me. I don't know what kind of tree it would take 6 hours to chop down, and it doesn't take 4 hours to sharpen an axe, but I will go along with the spirit of that quote by first sharpening the axe. And yeah, once the axe is sharpened, this is what it looks like. I use a little puck that you can order online, link in the description. After your axe is sharpened, you got to really make sure that all around the base of the tree is clean of any kind of sticks or vines, anything that can trip you up. Because in the worst case scenario, and the tree falls before you think it will, or it falls in a direction that you didn't anticipate, then you're going to have a bad time if you get caught up on something and the tree falls on you. So here I'm just clearing out everything. There's a lot of vines on this tree. This is what the tree looks like if we pan up to the top. It is a standing dead tree that has been standing here for at least a few years, dead. Well, more than a few years. And accumulated a lot of vines and stuff like that. Here I'm chopping those vines. This is mostly just so I have a clear path to swing the axe and the axe doesn't get caught up. You can see I put my hard hat on because when there's a lot of just rotten branches way up at the top of the tree, and I'm just being real careful that the vibrations from the axe stroke don't cause one of those branches to fall off and knock me on my noggin. And supposedly this is one of the most common injuries from chopping down trees is the deadfall branches. And while I finish cutting these vines, I'd like to go over how to make the tree fall in the direction you want it to. And you do have a limited ability to make it fall the direction you want it to, but you do have some control. Let's say if the tree is already leaning in a certain direction, maybe you have like a 10 degree, 20 degree arc that you can control the direction of the tree. So it's important to know what direction the tree wants to naturally fall in. And to determine that, I've come up with 6 indicators. The first indicator is to look how the sun goes across the sky relative to the tree. So if you think about it, the tree is going to want to lean into the arc that the sun takes. I'm in the northeast of America, and so this tree is leaning towards the southeast. It's leaning towards the morning sun. And in particular on my property, the sun is blocked by other trees. You can see here's the path that it takes across the sky. So the tree, just to get the most sunlight, it's competing with all these other trees. It's going to be leaning towards the brightest part of the sun's arc across the sky. Second indicator is just simply to look around the tree you're chopping and see what direction other trees have naturally fallen in. And you'll usually find that trees are kind of falling all in the same direction. You can also chop down a smaller, lower risk tree and see which direction that falls in if you're not sure. Third indicator is weight distribution of the branches still up there, especially if this is a standing dead tree. When it was alive, it might have had a weight distribution in a certain direction, but maybe certain branches fell off before others, so that even if the tree looks to be leaning in one direction, if the branch weight distribution is in another direction, that's another indicator that it might fall even opposite of the direction that it seems to be overall leaning. And that brings me to the fourth indicator. Well, how do you determine which direction it's overall leaning? Well, what I do is use my axe as a plumb line. So I grab the handle of the axe, just hold it upside down, and that gives you a natural vertical line that you can walk all around your tree with and determine which direction it's leaning in. Now you can see right here, I'm kind of practicing my escape now that I've cleared out all the vines and sticks and weeds and everything. Very important. Always be practicing your escape path, no matter where you're chopping from. So as I start chopping here, the fifth indicator is wind direction. So this is both the general wind direction that you can look up on weather maps and the wind direction that you're directly observing that day, just by observing the direction that the trees, the topmost branches of the tree are moving in. And the final indicator is stress fractures in the bark of the tree. So whatever direction the tree might be leaning in, you should be able to, especially if it's a standing dead tree, you might be able to see horizontal stress fractures from the tree kind of slowly bending over time. So lucky for me, I have all 6 indicators on my side telling me which direction the tree is going to fall in. That's not always the case, but when you have 6 indicators, you can be like 99% sure. Never be 100% sure which direction the tree is going to fall in. Always assume it can fall any direction. So as much as possible, I want the tree to fall in the direction it wants to naturally fall. But in my case, I've set up a bit of a challenge for myself in the sense that I want to thread the needle. I want this tree to avoid a bush, a flower bush of my wife's. I want it to avoid my house, of course. And I want it to avoid all of these stones that I'm going to be using for my driveway, just so they don't crack. So I'm going to be nudging this tree off of its natural fall path, maybe 5-10 degrees. And how I'm doing that is with this initial directional cut or front cut. I don't know really what it's called officially. That's just what I call it. So this is a wedge shape cut that you're making in the direction that you want the tree to fall. That is roughly aligned with the direction it wants to naturally fall. So I'll speed things up a little bit here. I'm trying to get halfway through the tree. Again, always remember the tree can fall at any time. And I like to switch hands to get a balanced workout. All right, so this is what the directional cut looks like now. Right about, you can see I've gotten into the core of the tree. Now to start on the back cut. So this cut will be the same wedge shape, but just slightly above the directional cut. So a few inches above. So the idea here is that you're going to chop again about to the halfway mark, and the tree will break in such a way that it creates a hinge, a safe hinge that prevents the trunk from bucking out of control and smacking in the face or slipping off to the side or anything like that. It's basically a very controlled way of making the tree fall. So let's speed it up again here. Now, I actually went to practice my escape route because it was getting very close to falling, and it turns out the wind finished the job for me. So let's watch it fall here with some volume. Another flawless victory. Look at that precision felling. Not only barely missed the house, but shaved my wife's flower bush. I forget what these are called. There's literally like 1, 2, 3, there's like 10 stems that got shaved off. So I wanted to just miss this flower bush right here. But you can see how close it came to the house here. And I think it actually, some shrapnel hit the house, of course, and hit those swimming pools. But woo doggy, the more I practice, the luckier I get. Now to chop this thing up.
this tree joins all the others in the dead tree graveyard down here. I think it's the 6th or 7th tree I've chopped down in this way. My wife is finishing cleaning up the scraps. Left a few dents in the yard, but otherwise we're good. This will overgrow in the spring and summer, so yeah, they're kind of visible from the yard right now, but I might push them a little more down later. Other than that, success. Job well done. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and remember to join my online tree chopping course. Only $49.95 per tree, where I live coach you streaming. And for an extra $10, if a tree falls on you, I'll even call the ambulance. See you next time.